Hi, welcome to Agile Interview Question video tutorial from Simplilearn. I am CMR Chandra MR, a certified ITL expert, ITL4 managing professional, PMP, Prince2, Agile Scrum Master, DevOps, and COVID-5. Today, as part of this Agile Interview Questions, we are going to look at few questions typically which comes across whenever people go for an Agile interviews, when they face the interview. So this would help the people who actually needs to know some important details about Agile and associated details, so that can help them to understand the Agile and Agile methodologies, the tools related to Agile better. So explain Agile in brief. If this is the question, what would be the typical answer? So the term Agile refers to ability to move quickly and easily by becoming more flexible and adaptable. So most of the times I've seen people say, whenever I ask the question, what is Agile? They say Agile is a methodology. The term Agile itself is not a methodology. It actually refers to this flexibility, adaptability. So all those methodologies which are there defined for Agile, for example, Scrum, so they have an approach towards to become Agile and do the projects in an Agile way. So this requires adoption and adoption of continual changing scenarios in modern dynamic business environment, which means the flexibility and adaptability is required because of the changing business environment, the dynamics. To quickly adopt to that change, to become flexible, agile approaches are required. It is very essential for organization to become agile for their sustenance and growth. There are various agile methods and practices that focuses on iterative development. Typically, any agile methodologies follows iterative approaches. Requirements and solutions are obtained through self-organizing, cross-functional teams collaborating. So collaboration is very important. Any of the agile methodologies we come across, we speak about cross-functional, self-organizing teams. So this is the basic details one should know when they hear the term agile. So question number 2, explain the difference between a traditional waterfall model and agile testing. So when we say agile and waterfall, it has two different dynamics altogether. So agile model is a continuous iteration lifecycle model for developing and testing software, whereas waterfall is linear sequential lifecycle model for developing and testing the software. So similarly, the rigidity. So agile methodologies is flexible way of building a software which provides a lot of flexibility. Whenever there is a change, adopting to the change will become very easy, adapting and adopting for the change scenario. Whereas in waterfall methodology, it is a bit difficult, it is rigid because it is very much structured. Any changes which comes in, adopting that and changing things to according to the change dynamics requires changing many things, which makes it very tedious and rigid. So thirdly, collaboration. So agile model is highly collaborative. That's what it approach considers mainly towards software development, where involvement of all the members like customers, maybe the team members, the project managers. So their active involvement is very much required so that things can be handled better. So whereas waterfall model generally don't insist on that. So it is least flexible and follows sequence of steps which are predefined, and that doesn't allow the team to collaborate. Even the collaboration happens, it will have a limitation because everything is defined and one has to follow it and comply to it. There is no opportunity or options to change anything so easily when it comes to waterfall model. Then processes. The entire process of development is divided into iterations which are of short period, so that in each of these iterations the working piece of that product will come out. So in waterfall approach, the software development process is broken down into several phases: sequential phases, linear phases. So things which has to be delivered in each of the phases are very well defined, and accordingly it happens. So changes may be made even after the initial planning is completed. In agile approaches or in agile, whoever follow agile, it is easy to adopt to that change scenario. Whereas in waterfall approaches, development requirements cannot be changed once the project development begins. It will become difficult because everything is defined in a comprehensive way, detailed, so that small changes may impact other parts of the products or descriptions which is defined. So software development is a collection of many different projects which can happen in agile. whereas waterfall software development is completed as a single project or deliverable. So testing is performed in same iterations as programming or building. So within that iteration, since we build the working product, all the testing will be done within that, so that one would be fully informed about that product which is being developed in the iterations, so that users can give the feedback quickly. Whereas testing phase is separate in waterfall approaches, but however testing can be built in parallel in waterfall also if it is planned that way, but still it does not give that flexibility as it is there in the agile, because the product will not be available to the users to give their feedback, so that necessary corrections cannot be made. So whatever testing reveals in waterfall methodologies, the corrections will be done by the team limiting to their understanding, whereas in agile, since users are very closely involved, working model is ready, so the feedback is straight from the users in their perspective, so that corrections can be made, and ultimate product will be very much useful to the people who are going to use that product ultimately. So question number 3, what are some important parts of agile process? So here are some of the important principles that need to be followed to make a process of agile. So one is customer satisfaction. So very much important. One has to ensure customer is satisfied. Customer sees the product, gives the feedback, they uses it, gives the feedback, necessary corrections are made in time, so that quick delivery of the product can be made according to the requirement of the customers, which would result in high customer satisfaction. Then changing needs. So agile welcome changes. So any changing needs will be addressed even late in the development processes, in the entire life cycle of the project, wherever the change comes in. Taking that changes, making that necessary changes will be easier when it comes to agile. Delivery frequently. So ensuring software is delivered frequently, focusing on shorter time scales, which is very well understood. The full clarity of the product and the working piece of the product will come out of the iterations. So as I mentioned earlier as well, quick feedback from the users will also obtain, so that products which are delivered will be as per the customer requirement. So agile approaches helps that way. Work together. So Agile Manifesto emphasizes on working together, collaboration, so that each one of them contributes. So developers and business individuals has to work together through the course of the project, so that necessary outcome can be created. So motivated team. So projects need to be built around motivated individuals, and they must be trusted to get the job done. So as I mentioned in the previous point, collaboration is very important. So we cannot ignore team as well, who is actually actively involved in creation of those products. So they should be motivated, and their active involvement is very much required. Face-to-face conversation is most efficient means of communication. So since the agile methodologies, whatever is defined, actually emphasizes on having the face-to-face conversation, collaborating better, contributing proactively, and involvement proactively is very essential. So conversation, communication plays a very important role. So working software is a primary measure of progress, which will be delivered in each of the iterations, so that users can give the necessary feedbacks. So constant pace, agile process promotes sustainable development, because all the products which are being developed, used, feedback obtained are in real time. So people actually know what is being produced and what is that they can expect as it progresses. So clarity is also one of the things, and that pace has to be maintained, and agile approaches helps to accomplish it. So good design, agility can be improved by focusing on technical excellence and good design. As you progress, as the changes comes in, as you adapt and adopt, so since it has the flexibility, technically as well as process wise, as well as any of the configuration wise, it is easy to do the necessary changes and have the design which is required to accomplish the ultimate results. Simplicity, the amount of work that's not being done needs to be minimized. So we say simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, means what is that required to be done, consider only that, not anything else above or below that. So whatever we may require to do, focusing on that, the minimum thing what need to be done will be done and has to be done when one follows agile approach. Self-organized, the team is self-organized. So self-organized teams provides best architectures, requirements and design, because they having various different capabilities come together, contribute together with their capability, with a different capability, multi-skilled as well, will be present in the self-organized team. Reflect and adjust. Effectiveness can be improved by the team regularly reflecting on it, because as I mentioned earlier, in every iterations there are feedback obtained. Testing is being done in each of the iterations as it progresses. So this will help us in terms of providing the insight towards how is it progressing. So that will help in quickly doing the necessary corrections which are required to be done. So next, question number 4, explain iterative and incremental development in Agile. So incremental development, when we say, the process is divided into many small workable increments, so which can be done one after the other. Each successive increment builds on the top of the work done in the previous increments. Over time, functionalities are added based on what was already created. So iterative development involves the development of system by following repeated cycles or iterations. Based on the results from the most recent iterations of the process, changes are made. This helps the project evolve over time. So the term evolve is the one which one should keep in mind. It is not that I'm just going, that is my destination. Yes, definitely that is a destination. While progressing, there are a lot of variations which happens. Those variations has to be considered, and accordingly the necessary deviations or corrections, adjustments has to be made, and things to be progressed further, which is very important. Because of this iterative approach, it helps to become adaptable and flexible to adjust to these varying conditions. So that's where project should evolve. It cannot go in a straight line. It has to evolve based on the variations while progressing towards the destination or the results what we are supposed to accomplish. So agile, definitely iterative plus incremental. So agile involves consideration and creation of working product in an iterations, which is part of the overall final product. So the consolidation of all the products which are produced in each of the iterations will become part of the ultimate results, ultimate product. Each iteration is an enhanced working increment of the final product. This process continues until all the product's functionalities are satisfied. So organizations and user can use and experience the product and provide feedback that can be incorporated into next iterations. So each iterations, when the working product is produced, those things are used by the users, experience, they will look at the features and functionality, and based on the requirement what they're supposed to fulfill, they may also give the feedback for necessary corrections, or they add new requirement to it, because the minimum requirements what is being fulfilled by this product, maybe some requirements which are not expressed earlier, there is an opportunity to express at this point in time, to state we can involve some of the features of this kind in the next iteration, so that we can able to make this product better. So such a conversation, the incremental iterative approach helps or allows or provides that opportunity to express. So causing product roadmaps to be built, produced, tested and confirmed before the next iterations. So that's where before we move to next iterations, there will be better clarity in terms of what is produced, what we are supposed to produce further, and what is that modification we are supposed to do, so that product can ultimately fulfill the requirements. So question number 5, what are the different types of agile methodologies? So there are various kinds of agile methodologies. Some of them are briefed here. So let us go through them one by one. Extreme programming. So it is a framework that enables team to create high quality software and improves their quality of life. It enables software development with appropriate engineering practices. So next is Kanban. This method is used to design, manage and improve the flow of systems. Organizations can visualize their flow of work, limiting their work in progress. So basically Kanban comes from the Toyota system. So here when we use the term workflow, the work in progress, so this will help in terms of monitoring what is happening, what work is in progress, what work is completed, and it uses a visualized system, so one can see it, what is happening. So it also enables the individuals who are doing it to know what is that pending against them, and they can pick it up, pull it up and then complete it. Lean. Lean is a set of tools and principles that aims to identify and remove waste to increase the speed of process development. It focuses on maximizing value to the client, ensuring waste is minimized. So lean principles, lean approaches says the flow. In a flow, if there is any bottleneck, that needs to be removed. So this bottleneck would limit the flow and that would add towards the waste. So identification of the waste, the reason for that creation of the waste or who is the contributor of the waste, and eliminating those causes and moving forward. This will help in smoothening the flow, at the same time improving the system for better outcome. So that's where lean has become popular and well acknowledged. So Scrum is a framework that is used by teams to establish a hypothesis, try it out, reflect on experience and adjustments. It is used to enable teams to incorporate practices from other frameworks depending on the team's requirement. So that's about Scrum. Scrum is a bit popular and it is mostly used for smaller projects. The bigger the project, more complex, I think Scrum would not help. But Scrum is very popular in software development organizations. So where it has a simple 5 events, 3 roles, and 3 artifacts. So it helps to adopt and adapt to the changing conditions, and it has become a proven practice. Now, Crystal is an approach to software development that focuses on people and their interactions rather than tools and processes. It is aimed to streamline processes and improve optimization. It works on principle that projects are unique and dynamic. So next question, what are the principles of agile testing? So testing continuously to ensure the product improves continuously. So as we know, when we progress, when we adopt, when we follow agile approaches, there is a reason, because we should be able to respond to that changes quickly. We should be able to understand what is going right, what is not quickly, and do the necessary correction then and there itself. So testing continuously become very important, because as we develop, as we test, we can reveal any of the issues, any of the defects in the product what we develop, so that it reveals. So obtain feedback continuously to ensure the product meets business requirements. So looking at the performance, does this features functionality of the product is helpful to accomplish that business requirement? So this feedback comes from the customers and users when we produce that working piece of the product. So all team roles, testing, development, etc., need to be involved in testing process. So one cannot work in isolation. There should be very good collaboration. People from various different teams working together, complementing to each other, very essential to become agile. So the active involvement of business teams and representatives can provide quick feedback for each iterations. So clean and simplified code ensures it is defect-free during iterations. The documentation created must be limited into particular iterations. So when we speak about waterfall approach, the documentation will be very comprehensive for the entire project. But the moment we speak about agile, the documentation will get limited to what is being produced in the iterations, which is very important. So what is being produced in iterations, and that is based on the actually what is produced. Something I planned in for that iterations, some changes happens, we developed it, created it, there is a feedback which is coming up, documentation is limited to that. So corrections which can be made to the documentation will be easier and quicker. So along with development and implementation, testing is done to ensure the product is defect free. Continuous involvement of users ensures the final product matches their requirement, which is ultimate need. So question number 7, what are some agile metrics that need to be focused on? So some of the popular metrics which are used are measuring burn down of deliverables, which is usually represented using burn down charts. Similarly, we have burn up chart also, where as we complete the task, the height of the bar keeps increasing in burn up charts. But most popular is burn down, so that what is to be delivered will be easily visible. So the velocity, lead time, cycle time, code quality, code covered in unit test, deployment success rate, net promote score. So these are the basic metrics which are really needed when we are speaking about the velocity and speed. At the same time, how quickly we are able to produce what is supposed to be done and planned. Are we going accordingly or not? So this will help in terms of making our job as per the need. So metrics has to be selected very carefully. So metrics is not just a number, it should have an interpretation, and that interpretation should actually complement to the business needs and requirements. So metrics should have a clear description of what is this measurement is all about and what is that we are going to understand from that measuring that metrics. So next is what is Kanban. So Kanban system is visual system which helps better management of work as work moves through processes. So it visualizes and provides visibility into the process, workflows and works passing through the processes. So when you say it is a visual system, so there will be board or a display system where each of the tasks which needs to be accomplished are displayed there, and the person who is supposed to complete it and what is the status of it. So people would look at it, pull the work and complete it. So since people pull that work, it is also called as pull system. So because the new works are pulled in, taken up from the list for execution and move them from in progress status to done. So Kanban, since it is a visual system, it also makes people more conscious about what is pending against them, what work is pulled, that is also visible. So there is no reason for anyone to say that I did not do this because of XYZ reasons. Since it is visible, it is my job. Since I pulled that task, it is my job, my ownership to complete it. It becomes like that. So that discipline comes into place. So tracking the work will also become easier as the workflow is clearly visible and put on the display board. Modern organization can also use the digital display systems. We're seeing this more adoption in many organizations today because the value of using it, the contribution of it is seen by organization and Kanban playing its roles in the organization, and it's very essential to have this practice. So the goal is identification of constraints, that is potential bottleneck in the process, and ensure they are addressed. This ensures that the workflow becomes smoother and more efficient. I think I mentioned the reasons. Question number 9. What are some popular agile tools? So some of the tools which we keep hearing today, whenever people say we do agile, is some of these are listed here like GitHub, Jira Software, Trello, Zoho, Yodix, Verizon One, and many more. I think before we choose a tool, it is very important for anyone to understand what is that they require first and what tool can help them in terms of accomplishing it. So it requires a lot of analysis, assessment on the tools and the comparison with what is being done in the organization and how this tool would suit that organization's requirement is very essential. So tool is not first, the requirements, the need analysis, and then what tools best suit the environment, that is the step. Only then selecting the tool makes sense. However, studying the tools and comparing the tools and the features functionality will also help defining what needs to be there in place in the organization when they become agile or adopt certain practices. What are the obstacles to the agile process? So some of the obstacles that one could face are not having the appropriate or sufficient tools and technologies. So it is quite obvious organizations struggle not having the right tools and technologies. As I mentioned earlier, it is very important to understand what is our need first and what tools suits best. At the same time, I also mentioned study the tools and technologies and what do they offer and what do we have. Do we really need that additional things, the gap, whatever we find? Do we really need those in our environment? Is that dynamics? Is there in our environment? That needs to be understood. The lack of active involvement from the customer. So when we say agile, involvement of all the stakeholders are very important because the changing needs comes from users and customers. Whenever the iterations complete, working piece is delivered, if customer doesn't respond or explain or provide the feedback, then moving towards the next iterations will become difficult. It is very essential, the active involvement of the stakeholders, and very important stakeholders is users and customers. The team members lacking in skills and capability. So one has to ensure the team members are groomed with the right capability, and that should be evaluated on a continual basis so that organization can handle things in an agile way and contribute towards the projects what is being done and become agile. Some of the obstacles further, if you can look at, is the inability to design system based on unseen requirements. So this unseen requirement is very dynamic. So when they will crop up, we will not know. But however, the systems what we designed should able to provide that opportunity. Whenever such variations happens, you can able to easily adopt or involve or take that particular new requirement and plug in. So otherwise, one cannot become so rigid. There should be flexibility. Adapting the agile culture to the organization. So culture plays a very important role. So a lot of resistance would come across to adopt the new way of doing things. People may not appreciate the agile way of doing things. So it requires a lot of effort, motivation, and making people to understand why the organization has taken up the task to make it agile, and building a culture where people would think in agile way and contribute to the organization. Question number 11, differentiate between agile and scrum. So the term agile, as I mentioned earlier, refers to ability to move quickly and easily by becoming more flexible and adaptable. Whereas Scrum is an agile methodology which enables organization, so organization can become agile. So Agile Manifesto and 12 Principles acts as guidelines to become agile, whereas Scrum is used in the projects where requirements are constantly changing, aligning to Agile Manifesto and 12 Principles. They should follow what is told in Manifesto and Principles. So Agile Manifesto mentions about the required collaboration interactions to become agile, whereas Scrum defines the roles, the Scrum Master, the product owner, and cross-functional self-organizing teams who are involved in making the project, delivering the project in agile way. So Agile Manifesto also mentions about the required focus on working software and focus on change, whereas a Scrum approach enables teams to react to changes quickly. So means how to become flexible. What is that we need to consider to become flexible is defined in manifesto, means stressed on it, whereas Scrum follows with that approach, one can become easily flexible. So delivery, the manifesto provides necessary guidelines on frequent delivery of software. So where Scrum with the sprints, it builds are delivered to users regularly and upheld agile principles. So collaboration, Agile Manifesto stresses upon individuals' interactions and customer collaboration. So Scrum does it through various events like daily stand-up meeting and other Scrum events like sprint meeting, sprint retrospective, whereas people are sitting and discussing about writing a user story, the epics, or selecting the product from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. So various events which happens in Scrum demonstrating that point which is stressed in Agile Manifesto about individuals' interactions and customer collaboration are demonstrated with various different events in Scrum methodology. So next question, what are some popular Agile certifications? So some of the popular Agile certifications are PMI ACP certification, which is offered by PMI US, Scrum Master certification, then Certified Scrum Master, Prince 2 Agile certification, then Scrum Product Owner certification. So next we will move to scenario based questions. So before we go and answer the scenario based questions, let us look at the scenario. What the scenario says. The manager X was having the discussion with the team about the upcoming event. The event was scheduled to conduct an online marketing campaign to increase the sales. Due to increased competition and rapidly changing customer behaviors, the campaign is very crucial and organization has decided to do it more often. This is done through the online platform. The organization has the requirement of integration with the organization's website with all the features and functionalities. The various roles involved in the marketing campaign are marketing manager, marketing team, campaign coordinators, creators of content and brochures for campaign, and the participants of the campaign. All of these roles should have access to platform through registration so that they can have the required access and make the marketing campaign successful. Besides, marketing manager has told the reports needs to be generated which depicts the number of campaigns conducted, responses, registrations, conversations, etc. So this scenario is speaking about the marketing challenges or problems what organization has, and through that problem statement they wanted to ensure to the marketing campaign, and also they want to have an online platform to ensure to make this marketing campaign successful, and also speaks about the various different roles involved in this. So let us look at what are the typical questions which would come across in such scenarios. So first question says, can you write a user story from the perspective of marketing manager and participant? So firstly, we need to understand what is this user story is all about. So in the perspective of marketing manager is something anyway, we will look at it, what it is. But user story is the one which depicts the requirements, assuming the role. As a specific role, I need to do this, I want to have this. It gives it an explanation so that one can easily understand about that requirement, what need of consumers or what need of business this particular features functionality is going to fulfill. So let us see what is that user story relating to marketing manager and participants. So yes, why not? Here are a few examples. Marketing manager user story says, as a marketing manager, I need to assign the activities tasks to the team members. So now whenever we develop that platform, there should be an access to marketing manager, and marketing manager can able to assign the activities to the team members. So what feature that particular platform should have has to be defined and designed accordingly. And this is the requirement. The participant perspective, as a participant, I need to register for the campaign. So now there should be a registration page, obviously. And then whatever the process needs to be followed to create that registration for the participant, that needs to be made. And this simple user story helps into visualize what features functionality has to be there when we go and create that product and services. So this will help understanding the requirement thoroughly and creating the designing the features accordingly and visualizing the flow as well. So next question, is agile the best approach to make a marketing campaign and why? So now a question arises, when we do marketing campaign, why should I follow agile? Why not I do just like that? Now, why do we need agile? What is that essential need? Because already I mentioned the need of agility requires, I mean, whenever there is an adaptability, whenever there is dynamics of changes, whenever I want to become someone who can able to become competitive, because competition is also responding to the dynamics of the market quickly. I should be there in that business. So obviously, does this question make sense? Can this marketing campaign can be done in the agile way? So obviously yes, because the agile approach is the best way to go with for marketing campaign. Reason being the rapidly changing behaviors of the consumers, which has to be understood and detail should be put in their perspective, and accordingly the features has to be provided. So always in the consumer perspective, customer perspective. Secondly, with increased competition, the organization has to consider the unique differentiator to sustain and grow. There should be uniqueness. That needs to be understood. And that requires exercising continuously and creating the products accordingly. So this marketing campaign would help to understand that. So next question, what are the typical product backlog items? So for this, what could be the typical backlog items? Means the list of user stories, list of epics, which can help in terms of defining the features and functionality. The typical backlog items may include the features like registration page, login page, campaign contents, platform to conduct campaign, assess requirements. So likewise, we can keep writing. So user stories helps us to list what is that we may require to develop in this product. So this requires a lot of collaboration and discussion. Only then I think that will become more visible. Next question is, what are the some considerations made while selecting the items for product backlog? While selecting the backlog item to each iterations from the product backlog, the backlog item has to be prioritized. Definition of done for those items to be selected, value delivered, improvement considerations, etc. has to be made. So prioritization is very, very important. What features, functionality I should develop first, and how it makes sense to my business, how users will be helped, how customer will get benefited. So these will help in terms of having those features functionality developed in such an order where for that moment that features and functionality are available. We're not just jumping into everything and doing it one by one in a order, in a prioritized list. So It is very essential to prioritize, defining the definition of done and selecting the items accordingly, and then what value it delivers, understanding that and improving. Next question is the involvement of marketing manager required during the project and why? It's quite obvious. Marketing manager involvement is very essential because it is a marketing campaign. Yes, the involvement of marketing manager is very important and crucial, and it is the role who will have the full visibility into the requirements to be fulfilled and on-ground realities. Besides, one cannot become agile without the active involvement and collaboration of customer users with agile teams. That's it. Thank you so much. I hope the various different questions which are listed here would help you in terms of preparing yourself and understand the need to become agile. So we will come up with more questionnaires soon. I hope you will be tuned into Simplilearn's channel. All the best. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.